Good evening. This is Dr. Lim. Welcome to Authentic Expressions. Today's topic is fitting in versus belonging, understanding the difference. All right, welcome. So far, we have Marna Litz. Good. Dora, welcome. Be sure to post your questions. All right, this is Constance. Welcome, everyone. Cheryl. All right, good to have everyone back. So, today's topic is fitting in versus belonging, understanding the difference. Today's YouTube is sponsored by Laurel Ridge, and I'm going to read some of the services offered by Laurel Ridge. It provides personalized treatment for all populations. Their interest is to help you into your journey of wellness. There are services for children, adolescents, adults, military dependents, active duty service members, veterans, first responders. They offer both inpatient services, outpatient services, substance abuse treatment, residential treatment. Call 210 491 3591 for no cost assessment. Laurel Ridge is open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Their mission is to save lives, heal families, create hope. All right, welcome. I see familiar names, faces. So today's topic is fitting in versus belonging, understanding the difference. I would love to hear your questions. So let me call out people who are here: Marna Litz, Dora, Constance, Cheryl. All right, Croc, Cody is okay. Santos, Serene, EK, and who else? All right. I see the names trickling in. Bridget, good to see you too. Okay, Santos has a question. How can you prepare a child for peer pressure, fitting in, and developing a sense of belonging? Awesome question. So, belonging is a priority, fitting in is for somebody else's pleasure. So, early in your child's life, it is important to teach him or her to accept himself, herself as is. And it is important to teach them to embrace their uniqueness, their humanness, their areas of growth. While it may be called weaknesses, but it's also areas of growth. Because while we have weaknesses and areas of growth, it does not define us. It is only temporarily, and it is not something that we hang on to permanently. So help your children understand that flaws are things that they enjoy because that's part of their ability to strengthen it, work through it, and build upon it. So parents have the tendency to make this big mistake of highlighting their children's flaws too frequently. In any situation, it's important to go, this happened, so tell me what you learned from it, rather than, you did a horrible thing. You know what? You're doing the same mistakes every time. So it is important to ask them to about what they learn from that situation and how they want that situation to be a growth opportunity rather than just be defined by situations where they fail to excel. So when you accept children for who they are and you help them grow and learn, then they're less likely to seek out people who are going to accept them. So even in gang membership, it's about accepting the unlovable. So when you learn to accept your children and you want to embrace them for their uniqueness, flaws and all, then they feel loved, they feel accepted. But if a parent keeps highlighting all their infractions, the things that they have messed up, then that's what they will focus on. So what you focus on is what is the driving energy. So help your child build acceptance. And as parents, that's how you can emulate that behavior, that you too learn to accept yourself first. Okay, what other questions might you have? I see Bridget and I see Jessica Moore. Nice, nice. So the topic is, again, fitting in versus belonging, understanding the difference. So let me hear what questions you may have. I would love to answer your questions. So I'm going to start with a quote by an unknown author. The worst loneliness is to not be comfortable with yourself. So it can be a very lonely journey. So once you're comfortable with yourself, you embrace yourself, you accept yourself, you give yourself the approval that you want, then others will fall into places and you're not busy searching for the love or the acceptance of others. Okay, Kevin, good. Glad you're here. So, what questions do you have? I would love to hear your questions. So, that is about how you can build belonging in your life. So, if there's more belonging within one's soul, how might it change a person? So think about that. Many times we think of belonging in terms of belonging to a group, an entity, an external organization. But belonging starts within us. So when we learn to connect, belong, accept, approve of ourselves, then we are less likely to go hunt for it, go put it on somebody else's hands. So it is important to put these important traits, this acceptance of who we are, into our own hands. Okay, tell me your other questions. I know you have tons of questions about belonging and acceptance. Well, maybe I'll ask about how you have built a sense of belonging within the depths of your soul. What have you done to increase your sense of belonging? Okay, Kevin Wood has a question. How do you teach a child to learn who they are? That's an awesome question. How do you teach a child to learn who they are? Okay, many times we want to teach our children to learn about who they are and who they want to shape themselves to be. But as parents, if we start by accepting ourselves as individuals who are worthy, individuals who are in the period of growth, individuals who are able to falter and move on. When we learn to accept ourselves and we learn to forgive ourselves and we do not highlight our mistakes, be down on ourselves, beat upon ourselves, then children will likewise learn to live with who they are and they will learn to enjoy the growth journey more. But if they see us become very harsh, very punitive, very belittling, very unforgiving, then that is how they will turn out too. So, what you do, your children will mirror. So, make it your priority always to create a version where you can forgive yourself, where infractions are not blown up to the 10th degree. So learn to show kindness, show compassion. And that is how children too will learn to accept, learn to find belonging within the depths of their soul. So when you learn to accept yourself and connect with who you are, and not just highlight all that you are not, complaining about you all the time, then they will find a sense of belonging, the acceptance of themselves, and they'll be more comfortable in their own skin rather than complain about themselves repeatedly. All right. Okay. So Dora has a question. Belonging or fitting in, what is the difference? Awesome question. So belonging is a priority, meaning that is something that you want to build within you. So I want to shift the idea of belonging is not just to an external entity, but to belong within the depths of your soul, that you belong to yourself. Because many times people think belonging is to a spouse, to family members, to an entity. But once you find yourself and you create a sense of inner satisfaction, inner acceptance, inner compassion, inner nurturing, you have belonging. But fitting in is very external. You want to do what is to an external entity, what allows you to be accepted by others. So it is very temporary and very momentarily. So your job is to understand that you want to spend energy building belonging within you, find connection with you, find internal harmony, find internal peace, because that's the depth of, you know, creating peace within yourself. So I'm going to read to you this quote by Siddhartha Gautama. He says, "Peace comes from within, do not seek it without." So spend energy looking at yourself and building traits that are important to you, traits that you value, but also finding yourself, giving yourself the opportunity to accept who you are and not just always complaining about who you are not, who you wish you will be, because that is again is about competition and is about not accepting yourself, is more about wanting to fit in. Okay, fiesta. All right. Okay, I work in a social work setting. I tend to put on masks sometimes to fit in with my coworkers and staff. Is that normal? I believe that people tend to do this. Or am I the only one? Okay, very, very good question. So, we all do some fitting into at some level, and we all try to put on a social face, a social exterior. But if your social and your internal face matches and up is more congruent, the healthier it is. If there's a vast discrepancy that your social is very different from your internal mask, then that is something that you should be concerned about. The more congruent you have, the more transparent, the more genuine you are, the healthier it is. So if you are stuck in situations where you go, okay, I don't know how to speak the truth in these situations. So it may be important to preface it with, okay, I'm struggling in this situation and I don't know how to deliver. Then you prepare people to accept that, okay, here's the truth. So it is important to practice saying what your discrepancies are so that people will learn to understand your truth. People will learn to respect you because they go, okay, when you go to this person, you will have the truth. You will hear the truth from that person. So then people will learn to trust you and accept you more. And then people will seek out your opinion because they go, if you go to so and so, she or he will always give you the truth. So be that kind of person so that you exude values that are consistent with your being, your true self, rather than just mask it, say things that are acceptable, but then when it comes to integrating it, you have a very different sense of, you know, living those principles. Okay, EK says, if you easily fit into any group, but you have a fear of being vulnerable, how do you find a group that you belong to? That's another great question. All right, Christian, thank you. Thank you, Christian, for identifying your name. All right, so EK, your question is, it is if you easily fit into any group, but you have a fear of being vulnerable, how do you find a group that you belong to? Again, it's very similar to the earlier question. You want to hang out with people that embraces your value. Embraces your value means people who are honest with you, people who are transparent with you. So you are part of the group that promotes honesty, transparency, genuineness. And if you learn to connect to yourself, you want to find people who too are connecting to themselves, who value their inner peace, their inner sense of who they are. So if you find yourself being fear of being vulnerable, learn to express that, learn to test it out, learn to say small bits of information that will not totally leave you raw and vulnerable, that will allow you to test the waters and you see how people accept it. And you may want to test it with, you know, things that you feel safe about or things that you may want to take a risk. But in all relationships, we all value people who are honest and truthful, and we all value people who are vulnerable because vulnerability begets vulnerability. So don't think of, okay, you are the only one vulnerable because your vulnerability may penetrate the group and it may have impact 6 months from today, a year from today. You may not get immediate results, but you may get results at a later point because people will say, you remember when you shared this last year? I was thinking about it and it applied to me. And I was able to take a stance and be vulnerable myself with so and so. So don't think of just the immediate situation. Think of long term. Cast your stone way out in the ocean and see what happens. And sometimes we do get hurt. It doesn't mean that the end of the world has arrived. We do get hurt. And life is about being hurt, and life is about healing, and life is about forgiving ourselves. So don't be so harsh on yourself and think, I do not want to be vulnerable. So don't cheat yourself out of those experiences. Think of your vulnerability as your strong point and as your growth point. Okay, Santos has a question. Do you think that we as parents play an important role in our child's development, identity, and sense of belonging by making positive contributions, such as words of affirmation? Yes, positive contributions, but your affirmations has to be genuine. Don't overdo it because children will know, oh yeah, you're just saying this. You're delivering mechanically. So say it and mean it. Don't deliver it all the time, but deliver it when you see them work through challenges. Because when you dispense it freely, they go, oh, I can just I can just do simple tasks and my parents will, applaud me for it. So think about what words of affirmation you want to share. Also, encourage children to have their own words of affirmation. It doesn't always have to come from you. Affirmations that comes from deep within your soul are the best. So you don't always think that as a parent, it is your job to forever give words of affirmation. You help them build those tools, and eventually you want your children to have those tools to thrive upon on their own. Because at some point, we all depart. So, it's not our job to be forever. It's our job to help our children successfully launch, and with tools that will help them sort through and work through sticky, grinding situations. The more tools you give them, the more tools of self acceptance, self belonging, self connection, the better they become because then they're not dependent on others to, to accept them or to give them the fitting in concept. All right, Jeff. Okay, yeah. Okay, thanks for making it. All right, let's see. Constance, go. Thank you, Constance. Regarding children, how do you balance building a sense of belonging and also giving encouragement to do more? Great. And so I'm going to piggyback on what Santos asked. So whenever you give words of encouragement, words of affirmation, words of um, like a stroke on the back. You want to pat them on the back. Don't overdo it. Don't just do it daily, mechanically. Children will go, oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. You're just doing it because you're my parent. Then it becomes meaningless. So, whatever you say it with authenticity and say it with meaning. Don't do it because you didn't get it, so you want to overdo it. Because whatever you didn't get, you overdo, children will pick up that energy. And then it will have little value if you do it mindlessly. So do it with intention. All right. EK has a question. How can associating with groups that you fit into affect your natural ability to be true to the group that you belong to? Yay. Yes, good question. How can you how can associating with groups that you fit into affect your natural ability to be true to a group you belong to? So two parts. Very you fit into affect your natural ability to be true to the group you belong to. So a very complex. So for the first group where you are fitting in, so then I'm thinking, at what point in your life did you join this group to fit in? Like, were you at a different space at that point in your life where fitting in was important? And you still need that fitting in experience. Sometimes we fit in, and when we join a group, we don't know how to exit. We join something, we don't know how to exit. So it's very important that whatever you do in any organization, in any activity, think about how you want to exit. Don't just think, okay, I want to be this. I want to be in this group, in this organization. When you have an exit strategy, when you have an exit plan, when you have a thought out exit plan, that is important. And also, you want to examine if you still need to, the group where you fit in, do you still need that to keep you afloat? So many times people do not know how to do endings. They go, okay, I do not want to hurt people's feelings. Well, don't worry about people. The important question is, what do I need? What is important for me? And is it important for me to just keep trucking along without examining my values and my priorities? So find your voice in whatever you do. Learn to be selective rather than just mindlessly. Learn to choose. Learn to make priorities rather than just do a free for all and be everywhere in every place, but not making any depths or having any significant impact. So when you're busy fitting in, it also robs you of the ability to truly be there for the group that will enrich you because you have not given up one thing. So what sometimes you give up something in order to get something better. So that will truly allow you to be present to the group that you want to belong to. So life is sometimes about giving up things that no longer serves you. You know, wearing clothes from the 60s, from the 70s, from the 80s that no longer fit today is something that you may want to think about. But many times people are afraid of displeasing, being disapproved by other people, not accepting. So we keep doing things and then we don't examine our priorities. So life is not about cheating you, it's not about robbing you of experiences, it's about finding experiences that enrich you and find groups that enrich you. Find meaningful activities that is about enriching your life, is about creating harmony within the depths of your soul. All right. Someone with a fiesta says, my daughter shuts me out and only speak to me if she uses gender identity name. Okay. All right, Victoria. My daughter shuts me out, only speaks to me if I use her gender identity name. So at this point, that is important to her. So sounds like at this point that is important to her. And that is what gives her meaning. So I'm hearing that she's looking for respect. She's looking for the external society entity to respect her decision. So that's what I'm hearing. All right, I'm going to read this quote by an unknown person saying, wanting to be somebody else is a waste of person you are. Wanting to be somebody else is a waste of person you are. So the goal is to be yourself, to appreciate yourself, and to embrace yourself. Okay, Chris, somebody with a 2003 says, how do you help children create a sense of belonging in a new blended family? Wow, that's a great question. So how do you help them belong? So in a blended family, it's a very sticky situation. When family blends, it takes about 5 years for a family to blend. So that's the one thing I want to say. And many times step parents come in, oh, I want to raise this child. I want to correct them. I want to discipline them. I want to do such and such. Remember, your job as a step parent is to not discipline the stepchild, is to accept them and to build connection and build a relationship with the child. As a step parent, it is so important to offer a listening ear to understand, because the more you create that, the more a child will trust you. If you jump in and be quick to criticize, be quick to complain, be quick to reprimand, they will turn you off in a heartbeat. So look for ways to build connection. Look for ways to create a sense of harmonious relationship with the stepchild. So the more time you spend on connecting, then they feel more acceptance. Okay, Constance, thank you. Hello, thank you. Thank you, Constance, fiance. Thank you for logging in. I appreciate that. All right. I love your questions. I love all that you've asked. These are questions that have a lot of depth in it. So I hope that you yourself will examine ways to create more belonging within the depths of your soul, put more into highlighting you, seeing you, being seen, put it within your expectations that you want to see yourself, rather than spend time and energy trying to get people to see you. So when you see yourself, then it's easier for other people to see you. But when you mute your colors, when you silence yourself, then it's harder for people to hear you as well. So find time to always see yourself, create belonging. All right, I am going to read a closing quote by Rupi Kaur. He says, how you love yourself is how you teach others to love you. So how you love yourself is how you teach others to love you. I hope that this is the quote that you remember for the rest of your week. And next week is Thanksgiving, so we won't have a YouTube live. But on December 4th, the topic is moving teens from victim to victor, what courage looks like in tough moments. So, moving teens from victim to victor, what courage looks like in tough moments. All right, I'm going to close with Laurel Ridge sponsorship and all the activities and all the programs offered. Laurel Ridge is a behavioral health program that offers compassionate care for every stage of life. It provides personalized treatment for all populations. So they offer inpatient services, outpatient services, substance abuse treatment, residential treatment. Call 210-491-3591 for no cost assessment. Laurel Ridge is open 24 hours and 7 days a week. Thank you so much, everyone, for your thoughtful questions. All right, I love to see you on December 4th. So we won't see you next week, but on December 4th. Have an awesome, awesome Thanksgiving and have an awesome rest of your week.